Hello, and welcome back to SWWLS Speak Your Truth podcast. My name is Shauna Jackson, and I'll be your host today. Last week, we left you off with a bit of a cliffhanger after speaking with a beautiful survivor by the name of April Green. Today, I'll be sharing with you the second half of that conversation. But before we get started, to tell you a little bit about myself and the charity. I am the spokesperson for a nonprofit 501c3 charity by the name of Society of Women Who Love Shoes. Our founder's name is Diane Samoff, and Diane herself is a survivor of domestic violence. And through her story, through her experience, she was inspired to start this charity. Shortly after she snuck away in the middle of the night with her children in tow, escaping abuse and violence, she was introduced to a woman who gave her a pair of red high-heel shoes. And, ironically, it was one of the most amazing feelings. She says that in that moment, it changed her life. And it makes sense, right? When you feel good, you look good. And we know as women how we feel about our shoes. So Diane is inspired to share that feeling with other women. And that idea has expounded into the Society of Women Who Love Shoes. We support families of domestic violence through our social networking events where society people and professionals come together along with survivors and sometimes victims to bring awareness to such a heavy subject. The wonderful thing about our charity is that it allows us not maybe a better, a better moment in the midst of healing or being in the midst of the actual abuse, but it's a beautiful escape fashion. Yeah. And we get to get our minds off of such a heavy subject, or it allows us to be able to deliver such harsh information in a lighter way. Our event goers and volunteers are able to not only give financial donations at these events, but we actually accept those gently worn shoes and clothes. We take housewares. We've been given donations for vehicles to give to survivors and to families. We've had shelter. I mean, at this point, we have done so much in different ways that has far exceeded that red pair of shoes that Diane received. But we want to do more. And this podcast is going to allow us to do that because it is a safe space where survivors can share their stories, not only their stories of domestic violence, but their stories of survival and how they are thriving. So let's get back to that conversation with Miss April Green and see where her journey takes us. So how long were you in foster care?
I don't really know. I'll say like 2 years.
Okay.
Like I said, I had those.
Same family.
Yes, same family.
God, that's a blessing.
Same family. And then I was put back with my mom, and she was struggling at that time. So I went from having my own room to a house to, we were in a battered women's shelter.
Wow.
And so we went to that, and then we ended up in a trailer.
And I'm imagining if you are pulled from the home, this would mean that she met all of the criteria to get you back, which is what she wanted.
Correct. My mom had to work to get me back. It wasn't just like, okay, we're gonna let you go back, because I was very adamant about, like, I never want to go back home again.
Absolutely.
And I did end up going back. I stayed with my mom. And then when I was 15, I was raped with my oldest daughter. And I ended up having her at 16.
Wait, your oldest daughter now?
My oldest daughter now
was conceived from rape.
Yeah. And so I stayed with my mom. I had her when I was 16.
This happened. So was this like random, like date rape, or?
Yes, it was more like a date rape thing, where I was seeing someone, and we'd actually broken up. He was very upset, came to my house anyway, and bogarted his way in, and raped me in my bedroom.
My God.
And I didn't tell anyone. I didn't say anything to anyone. I never told my mom. I never
Why
told
do you think you did that?
I was embarrassed. I was ashamed. I wanted to hide it. I just didn't want anybody to know, because I just felt like, if I don't say anything or I don't deal with this, then it'll just go away, and I could just move on with life, and it'll be fine. Right. I kind of took that mindset, like, okay, you were abused for a whole bunch of years and you got over that.
And that's what I was looking for.
So, this is one time. It's not that big of a deal. Just let it go, move on. You already know what you need to do. Just move forward.
And what would you tell that girl now about that mindset? Do you think, knowing what you know now, that it would have changed your, not decision, but how you felt about what happened to you?
Well, no, I would say that was like the worst thing I could have done, because I think I was at a point where the childhood abuse had gotten to a point where I felt normal, right? I felt like just a normal teenager, and I had a bright future. I was looking towards a future. And when that happened, it set me back mentally, emotionally, spiritually, in a whole, it was like starting all over from scratch.
Exactly. Like, in your mind, it was like, why can't I just get a break? Like, it seems like the moment that every time you've had the swing, okay, let's go back. The swing is you've never forgotten that it was like a really good moment, and then boom, like that, it's gone. And then I get to the foster home, and it's so good, and I'm thinking about things about my life that I would have never thought about before now, and then boom, it changes. And then you finally get used to your new normal, and boom, it happens again.
Right. Yes. And I just thought it'll be all right. So I never said anything. I never told anyone. I buried it under a rug and
cut it off with him.
Oh, well, I mean, I had already cut it off. Like, it was already a done deal, right?
But did he try to come back and continue?
Oh, no.
So he knew what he had done was wrong, and
yeah, like,
wow.
Yeah, there's no there was no attempt, no communication, nothing ever again.
So you're saying that you never told anyone, right? You never told anyone, didn't tell, but you're carrying a child.
Well,
So how
I
did
didn't
this
know.
conversation? Okay.
So I was playing, so I played basketball in high school.
Okay.
And, I was on the JV team and we're playing basketball, and I go up for a ball and I come down, and me and this girl were fighting for the ball, and she elbows me in my stomach and it hurts really bad. Well, then I start bleeding, and my periods were never normal. They were never like monthly or whatever. And I mean, the pain was just real. It was different. It wasn't a normal period, right? It was different. And I couldn't take the pain. And so I was like, I told my mom, like, there's something wrong. I'm not sure exactly what's wrong, but there's something really wrong. And so she was like, okay, we're going to the hospital. So we went to the hospital, and that's when I found out I was like 5 months pregnant.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
So you didn't even have that long to take in that you were pregnant. And by the time you got used to it, you were having a baby.
Yeah, I don't think I ever really got used to it. I think it was just like,
so fast.
Holy cow, like, what do I do now? And just trying to understand and figure out, like, what do I do?
Now, did you know immediately who it was?
No, I had no idea. And so, because I had a boyfriend at the, another boyfriend at the time. So I thought, okay, well, that's baby daddy.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, then she was born, and I want to say she was like, I don't even remember. I want to say like 8 months or something before I found out. And even before she was born, I was still contemplating, like.
Yeah, like in your mind. I have a similar story, so I understand.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I keep thinking, do I keep it or do I give it up for adoption?
Yeah.
Like, how am I going to support this child?
And this is at the 8-month mark.
Yeah.
Like, you're holding your baby, loving your baby, and you're literally thinking do you think your own experience as a foster kid at that point influenced your decision that this might be the best decision for your child?
Well, this was before she was even born. I was already contemplating.
Your 8-month mark of being pregnant.
Right.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Right. 8-month mark of being pregnant. And I'm going, okay, am I supposed to keep this baby, or am I supposed to give her up to someone that can provide for her better than I can? And the more I thought about it, the only thing I would hear was, God will never put you through more than you can handle. That's all I kept hearing is, God will never put you through more than you can handle. And I was like, I don't know, you're kind of pushing the boundary here.
Right.
You're kind of pushing that line here.
Now, does the boyfriend's family know at this point that you are with child, and you guys are you having a conversation like, this is ours, or did you just okay?
No, we're totally having a conversation like, we're about to have a baby, and how's it gonna work out, and what are we gonna do? But I was even thinking about abortion just from the standpoint of, can we even afford a child? Can we raise a child? Like, I'm still in high school.
Right.
My boyfriend at the time was a senior. Like,
you don't have the family dynamic of like, well, we can stay at my house, and so like, you're struggling at home, so this is not a situation that I want to bring a kid in, so how do we do this?
Right.
So obviously you decide to keep the baby.
I prayed about it, I thought about it, and I was like, okay, God's gonna provide in some way, shape, or form. So, she just needs to, okay, well, she'll be with me. And so she was born, and like I said, she was like around, I want to say like 8 months when I found out. And
that's like some destiny. Like, back then that would have been like, I'm a survivor. Like, you're like, this is nothing.
Yeah.
Like, hey, like we got that, we'll be okay.
And you know, I thought about that, but then I found out and I was like, oh my gosh, well now what do I do, right? And
because now she doesn't, basically in your mind, she doesn't have a father.
Right.
Right.
Which also came up with, okay, well, great. What are you going to do? What are you going to tell her?
Right. Right.
And so my brilliant idea was, I'm just going to say I was a hoe and I had a one night stand and you were conceived and move on.
Yeah.
Right. And
okay, like, but like you already know shit got to be not that good when that's like the plan.
I could come up with another one. That was really all I could think of. Like, you know, I was irresponsible. I was, you know, sexually active.
That makes more sense than the truth. You know what I mean? Like, that's how jacked up this is. Yeah. Like, gosh, you are so resilient.
So, yeah. So that was my super master plan.
Yeah.
I used to say it didn't work out. I forgot to tell my sister the master plan.
Uh-oh.
And she ended up telling the truth. And when I confronted her about it, like, why did you tell my business? And she was like, it's the truth. Why wouldn't you just tell the truth? And I was like, really? That's what you have to go with? I was upset, but then I was like, also God smacking me in the face, like, all lies will be brought, you know, everything is done in the dark will be brought to the light. And so it's
a lie that you would just have had to keep perpetuating, you know, which like
over and over and over.
Yeah, because why doesn't he want me? You know, like, well, why can't I know who he? You know, and it's like, well, really, because you know.
Well, at least if I said that, you know, it was like, well, I don't really know. There's nothing I can do. You know.
When you, in hindsight, when you look back on it, are you glad you did? Because you would have maybe had the courage to do it.
Yeah, I wouldn't have had the courage. That would have been one I would have taken to my grave.
Yeah, that's honest. That's good. Yeah. So the baby comes
older now, and you know, after everything's happened, you know, I realized that God gives you a test for a testimony, and so that will be her testimony.
Listen, I'm telling you, you are giving people nuggets right now. You understand what I'm saying? I'm thanking you for your candidness. Thank you for how open you're being and trusting me to even help tell this story. So it's amazing. So you are now a single mom, and are you still at home with your mom?
I am.
Okay.
I was. I stayed with my mom till I was 17. My daughter was like a year old.
Okay.
I had found a boyfriend and moved in with him and his mom.
Okay.
And so we did that. And then we ended up falling apart. 18 came, I graduated, and I moved as fast as I could. Because I thought, you know, geography, you change your geography, you change your life, right? I thought if you just move away and start over, nobody knows you, you know, you can start from scratch. You don't have to tell everybody all your business. You can keep it private and, you know, nobody will know. The thing about that is that you know, and your mind and emotions can't lie. And what happens is it eats you up inside. And you constantly put up this guard, this cage to protect yourself. You think, I'm going to put this wall up and I'm going to put that wall up and no one's going to ever know and I'm going to protect myself and I'm going to guard myself. Well, what ends up happening is you put yourself in a cage and you isolate yourself from anyone and anyone that could possibly bring something good to your life. And that's what I did.
That is self-inflicted abuse. Like what you just described was abuse.
It was. But I was so...
Because that's what abusers do. They remove you from everything, you know, anything that may be supportive. They tell you all these things that are not true about yourself. Nobody loves you. Nobody's going to trust you. And so you go away and you're telling this lie with the hope that you're going to believe your own lie, even though you know your truth.
Right.
Right?
Hey, this is my master plan. It was gonna work.
So where'd you go?
So I went to live with my biological dad. And then I had a boyfriend, another boyfriend.
Was there a relationship with him? Like
biological dad?
Mm-hmm.
Well, at the time, we lived 14 and a half hours apart.
Okay.
So the distance and, school and all of that didn't really allow for a lot of visits.
Yeah.
It was sporadic at best, once a year, like summer.
Gotcha.
Stuff like that.
So you knew him, not a big relationship, but a relationship well enough to like know that, hey, I would take a risk on making this transition to get out of where I am and figure it out when I get there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You poor, like you were always in survival mode.
Oh, I didn't stop living in survival mode till probably, I want to say like 6 years ago was when I finally stopped.
Wow.
And a lot of it was because I had isolated myself, put myself in a cage.
Mm-hmm.
I had a boyfriend at the time. We ended up having another baby, a little girl.
Okay.
And
two girls?
2 girls.
How far apart? I mean, how many years?
Almost 5, 4 and a half.
Okay.
Something like that.
At least one was a little bit independent.
A little.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Baby girl, and then me and baby daddy fell out at about 3 months.
Okay.
And the thing is, when you're in a relationship, when you've been through as much trauma as I have been, you get used to the trauma and you feel like anything other than trauma is not love.
I'm so glad you said. Usually you have to say that, and I didn't, because you already said it. It's almost like the uncomfortable, the negative environment, it becomes like normal.
Right. And that's great. Like, you don't feel like if you're not fighting, arguing, or in some type of abusive type of relationship with someone, that they don't love you. Like, they're not showing you enough love.
Right. This is not showing that this person must not love me because they're not mad or angry or because in your mind you're saying that that's how you communicate.
Right.
That's how I know this person loves me, because they're going to express it in a very loud or violent way.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Whether that's hitting or yelling or give me attention, like, hey, you're not paying attention to me, why aren't you paying attention to me?
And it comes in so many different forms. Yeah, it doesn't have like a face, right? It doesn't have this is what it looks like.
Right.
Yeah.
And you feel like, or at least I felt like when I was being abused, I was so young at the time that I felt like, okay, well, if I'm being sexually abused, then I'm being loved. So I had
absolutely. That's the mind. That's the mind. I can't say the
right.
The mind. And so I guess I can say. I will say that's what it is, right? That's what.
Right.
It's crazy.
And so, so I didn't feel loved. I was constantly looking for love. I was constantly looking for attention. I was constantly never satisfied. There was never enough. That he couldn't do enough. It wasn't enough.
Well, you didn't even know what it was the right way. So of course it's never going to be enough, because it probably wasn't enough. It wasn't what you needed. It was probably enough of the wrong thing. Just not
right. It wasn't a love-hate relationship where we're going back and forth, like, I love you one minute, I hate you the next, and that type of energetic chaos that just a hurricane kind of is the best way I can explain it. And so he got tired of dealing with me. I would have too. And he was just like, I can't do this anymore. So okay, I get it. So we broke up, and then so I was single during that time, and then about another 5 years later, I ended up finding my husband at the time, and we had a little boy. And that didn't work out either because I was still emotionally damaged, dysfunctional. And so we ended up getting a divorce when my son was like 2. And then from 2 to when my son was 14.
Now, was the husband abusive?
No.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
none of them are.
So just at this point, it was just dysfunction.
I was the dysfunction.
Right, correct. Because you were.
I was angry. I was raged. I was.
You didn't even have, like, I don't even know. Were you even able to communicate what was wrong with you?
I don't think so.
It was more like you expressed.
Right. Anything would set me off. Anything would be, and it was always, you don't love me, you never show me, you don't show me enough, and it doesn't matter. So I'm going to switch for a second because as an energetic healer, there are things that are called heart walls. And what happens is your love, God gives you love as divine unconditional love, right? And it starts in your heart. And you push that out to other people, right? Well, when you've been through so much abuse, you get heart walls, and they're built up of emotions, different emotions, and they build up an energetic wall, like a barrier around your heart. And they act as a filter. So it starts as 100% unconditional love, and it goes through this filter of pain, shame, humiliation, discouragement, rejection, and all this stuff. And whatever comes out after the filter is what's left. So when I started working myself as an energy healer, I had the maximum. I had a broken heart. I had every heart wall there is. And these things hand down generationally. So you can have a prenatal heart wall. You can have, so before you're even born, preconception heart wall. You can have a prenatal heart wall, which is heart walls that are built up in you while your mom's pregnant with you, or your grandmother, because when you're a girl, you're already energetically tied to your grandma. So whatever your grandma's feeling, if she's like in an emotional or abusive relationship, it gets triggered to you because your grandma's pregnant with your mom, but you're an egg in your mom. And so all of that DNA and emotion, traumatic abuse can be handed down in the egg that's you before you're even born. So you have that, you have an inherited heart wall, you have a common heart wall, which is your own. You have shared heart walls, which might be with you and another person. And then you have absorbed heart walls where you take on the pain of someone else, like maybe their parent just died in a car accident and you feel so bad for them. Well, you can take on all that energy. Well, I had all of that. So there was nothing that anyone could do to show me love that I could actually feel until I brought my walls down. And
how did you bring your walls down?
So
I mean, I'm sure one at a time, maybe one or two, but
well, I mean, there's a bunch of different healing modalities, but the one that I use the most is by Dr. Bradley Nelson, and it's called the Emotion Code and the Body Code. So the Emotion Code is specifically emotions, and the Body Code is where those emotions are trapped in the body that are causing imbalances. So it can cause, disease, pain, inflammation, fatigue, any of these other things, mental blocks, like a no will to or a will to statement.
And say the author's name again.
It's Dr. Bradley Nelson.
And the books are?
The Emotion Code and the Body Code.
Gotcha. Okay.
So you could go to www.discoverhealing.com, and he has his whole program there. And that's
what you used?
Yes, I'm certified in it.
Wow.
I'm a certified practitioner to be able to release the imbalances within the body and reprogram.
You work with chakra?
Yes, I do chakra balancing.
And like Reiki?
Yes.
Okay.
I do. I'm certified in 9 healing modalities.
Wow.
I do angel channeling, angel energy healing, body code, emotion code. I do chakra balancing, Reiki. Reiki 1, 2, 3. or 1-2 and master, and then I do Karuna Reiki, which that one heals at the cellular level, and it's specifically for abuse victims.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like when I went out, I went all out.
Yeah, well, and listeners, you got to take the ride with this, right? You got to take this ride because this is good. Because what I'm about to say, and then we're going to go back to the timeline, but it's no wonder that you had all of these heart walls, as you titled them, built up, because one, as an empath, here and see, here's where our story matters, right? Everything. I tell my kids this all the time: use everything. Nothing gets wasted, because we are just energy.
Right. Absolutely.
Every experience, every breath, every moment, every molecule does not go to waste.
Right.
It just depends where you deposit it, where you plant it, where you share it, even sharing your story.
Right.
Sometimes you can't tell certain stages in your life. You can't just tell, because to me, my story is my gift. My story is my prize. And I'm not going to just share my testimony with everybody, because that energy may not match the energy of that, and they can take that and use it against you.
Right.
You know, and push that negative stuff back to you, you know. So it's not a surprise to me that there was so many of those, because really you're taking all of that in.
Right.
You know, all the people around you, every victim, every broken bird, you are just like, I understand you, I get you. But at the same time, there's probably not a story. There's probably not a situation that you literally can't say to your girls, to the people that are listening, that I don't know what you're going through.
Right.
Like, I know what you're going. Like, well, no, you probably, no, I got a level to that too. There's a layer.
Yeah.
We don't even have time to talk about.
Right.
So you take this core, this information and this foundation of how to get these heart walls down.
Yeah.
And you start your healing process.
Yeah.
After the divorce.
No, I was actually single for 13 years. Let's see, 12 years.
Whoa. Okay. So this is the longest you've ever been single.
I went from like trying to find love and trying to be in a relationship to convincing myself that I would never be happy in one, that they were, that men are always going to cheat, toxic, or lie, or a toxic relationship, that I would never be happy, and that I just didn't need a man.
That was a heart wall.
That was a mindset, but yes.
What is it?
A mindset.
That was a mindset.
Yeah, I had convinced myself in a mindset that I was better alone than I was with anyone else. It was just easier for me to deal with myself the way that I was, and with my own pain and trauma.
So it was another prison.
Yes.
Like when you moved.
Yes. So it changed from being like geography to me. It didn't matter where I went.
Yeah.
Right. The prison was in my mind. And I didn't think that that's what it was.
No, because you actually thought you were bettering yourself. Like, I'm just getting rid of the problem.
Yeah. Men are the problem. And
I'm not me, it's just them.
Right. I'm just going to get rid of them and I will be fine.
I'll be fine.
And things are going to be perfect.
And it makes sense, right? Because people closest to you, the men closest to you, were the ones that hurt you. So, I mean, right?
Right.
Makes sense.
That's what I thought, yeah.
So, okay, so you got to tell, no, April, you got to tell me what you did in these 13 years. What were you doing? I
was just working, raising kids. I was playing the field, as they like to call it. I didn't have any real commitments. It was just more you know, hey, you want to go out to dinner? Okay, sure, yeah.
Right, you're just having, yeah, absolutely. But really, it was
like
just about family, work.
family, work,
Yeah.
a lot of work. I had a job that was very stressful and very demanding, long hours. So, I mean,
Because we talked about that in our pre-talk, right? So not
Right.
only did you deal with, physical, mental, sexual, emotional, from family members to strangers, then from your own self.
Right.
But now I have found the same patterns and the same dysfunction in my professional life.
Right.
So tell us about that.
So, I went to work and, I just thought, you know what? No, nothing can hurt you at work, right? You're just going to work, you're going to make a living, you're going to climb the corporate ladder and you're going to be successful. And that's going to be the end of your story, right? Love failed, everything failed. So I'm just going to focus on work. And I did end up focusing on work. And what ended up happening was ended up working for men that were either sexist or racist. And I was constantly being pushed down or looked over, stepped over for promotions and things like that. My last employer was very, very racist and sexist.
And were these close quarters or big corporations? Like, was there a lot of people?
No, there weren't a lot, but I mean, it was big enough. It wasn't like one or two people. It was big enough.
So it wasn't super intimate, but somehow you still were in this relationship the reason that I asked that question is because you described something that sounds intimate. Like it sounds like something like that would happen in a smaller setting versus a medium-sized setting. So that also means
I don't really.
These people were outwardly or openly. This is happening. That means like people around you or people that in the office probably knew that this type of stuff was going on.
Oh yeah, I mean,
like the office politics.
Right. I mean, office politics. The women, we would talk about it.
Yeah.
But when you're only, when you work in an office that has a lot more white people than you do minorities, then the minorities kind of click together. That's just how it works. And so it was a constant conversation in the minority clique. But everyone else didn't see a problem with it. Right. It's like, well, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, oh, I don't see it. I don't get it. So then you're just like, you know what? Okay, no big deal. You have a job. You're able to pay your bills. Suck it up. We'll just, ignore it. Keep going. Right. My motto for life: ignore everything. Keep going. And then I ended up getting after that employer, I had a great boss. I had a woman and she was amazing.
But wait a minute, you got to tell us, how did you get out of that situation? How did you get out of
that
situation?
Okay. I quit.
Okay.
I couldn't take it anymore. And needless to say, from all the trauma I've experienced, there's a lot of rage and anger that I had kept inside. When I feel that coming to the surface, I know I need to leave or I'm going to hurt someone. Or, I could potentially end up in jail or something like that.
Yeah, like damaging your own.
Right. Yeah. Damaging my career or,
you lost your shit. Yeah.
Right. It wasn't worth it. So I just left. I ended up leaving. And so after that, I had a great boss. I had an amazing boss and I really loved that job. And COVID hit and I got laid off.
How long were you there?
Almost a year.
Okay. Wow. So you were really comfortable.
Oh, very comfortable. It was amazing place to work at. I miss it to this day. But
it's ironic to me when I heard you say that, it reminded me again of the foster home situation.
Yes. My life has constantly been a story of, you know, good things will happen. Like you get a glimpse of what the other side looks like, but you never really get to savor it. It's always
so funny. I just recently, in my opinion, I have, my walls are different than the way you described, where in the church or in the Baptist church specifically, they like to say breakthroughs, you know,
right.
and I didn't know what that was at first. And until I had one, and I was like, whoa. And really what a breakthrough is coming into knowledge of that situation. And it's a very, very minuscule, very, you know, millimeter of knowledge. But you come into full understanding of a situation and how you're like, oh, okay. And now I call it seeing, like if you're in the mountain, or if you're on the hill and you're looking down at the city, it looks completely different than if you're in the city and you're standing on the street corner. You can't see everything, but when you're at the top of the mountain or the hill, you can see everything, right? So it makes sense in the after midst of it, like, oh, okay, now I know why I went through that. Now I know why I had to go through that, because, you know, I had to get to this side of the situation.
Right.
But the thing I found out was that life has its own cycles and it has its own rhythm.
Yes.
And I started noticing, like, the same time of the year, the same things would happen. And so I'm like, okay, well, if I know it's going to happen, so for instance, if I know winter's coming, then you prepare for winter.
Right.
If I know summer's coming, then I get prepared for summer. If you're going to go on a long road trip, you get your oil changed, tires rotated, make sure you're in the tires, right? You get all these things prepared, because what you're saying is, it's not that I'm going to have an issue, but if I know where I'm going, where I'm headed, or what's coming, I can prepare for the freeze, right? I can get the blankets and the tarps and, you know, and salvage what I can, right?
You're prepared, right?
Correct. So, and I'm sharing all of that to say with you, if you look at it in that way, of that rhythm, right? Then kind of like what drug addicts go through when they go through, or addictions period, when they go through detox and all of that, that you find the trigger.
Right. Yes.
So how did you get to that job? Because it said, what I'm hearing is, I had enough. Yeah. I knew my maximum. I knew I was done, and I decided that this is not what I want. And so now and because you made the decision, the thing came.
Yes. So so let me back up a little bit, because we went into the job abuse. Yeah. But before that, I ended up meeting my current husband. Oh. And yes. Okay. This is where it gets good. You know, at the time I was like, look, I'm just playing the field. I don't want a relationship. I really don't. I really don't. I'm done with that situation. You know, if you want to call and, you know, we can hook up and have dinner and, you know, whatever, and I'm gonna go about my business and you go about yours. He wasn't having that. He wasn't hearing that. He wasn't listening. He was like, okay. And so I shared a bit of my story with him, and I was like, look, I just can't. You know, I'm at this place right now where I'm comfortable. You know, there's no pressure. It's comfortable. It's just me. I know my space. I got it, you know? And he was just like, yeah, no. Well, what happened was in I want to say it was 2014 or 2012. I think it's 2012. My pastor had told me, you know, if you ever want to get married, because I had already been single for over a decade, and I was like, you know, I would like to get married at some point, but, you know, I just don't know. And he was like, look, this is what you have to do. You have to take out a piece of paper, and you have to manifest your husband and the practice of manifestation. And I was like, okay. And I was in a very good space at the time. You know, I wrote a whole bunch of self-help books. You know, I'm on the path to healing. I'd figured out like there's something wrong with me, and you need to figure out what is wrong with you before you even try to bring anybody else in. So I was in a good place, and I had gone through Celebrate Recovery. I had went through that program, and that was a game changer right there. Just my connection with God, and just
you do that with your church.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So I did that, and so I was in a good place. And so they were like, you know what, write down everything you want about your husband, what he looks like, you know, his qualities.
It's like practical magic.
Yes. So I wrote down this whole list of things, and there were 24 things. I took up a whole sheet of paper because
oh my gosh,
be specific. And I was like, okay. I was very specific. And he was like, you know, fold up the paper and put it in your pillow and sleep with it, and just, you know, ask God to show it to you. I was like, okay. So I did that for like a year. And then I was just like, this is not working. I'm going to be alone forever. Okay. I threw the paper out. But I had taken a picture of it on my phone, and I had backed it up to my, you know, portable drive.
Okay.
Right. And so then, you know, fast forward a little bit later, my husband at the time was like not going away. And he was just like, you know, I want to be with you. I'm not going away. And I was just like, this is ridiculous. Like, I don't even know how to say no even harsher. Like,
right.
You know,
I'm not telling you some of my truth and you still want it. I thought that would for sure get rid of this guy.
Yeah, because I thought that was like the, you know, the anti-magnet spray, like go away, like, you know, bug spray, like, oh my God, I stink, I'm ruined, I'm, you know, all this stuff, like, I don't understand. And so you know, we had a date and it was fun. I really enjoyed it. I felt a connection, but I was so petrified and so scared that it would end up being the same thing it had been, that I still was like, no. And he was still bugging me and texting me, and, you know, he tried to play the little game like, oh, well, you know, there's other women that want me. And I was like, great, you should go get them. You know, like the closing method.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I was like, go, have fun, spread your wings, get away. And so he did for a little bit, and I kind of missed out. I was like, oh man, we had great conversations. And I was like, you know what? You wanted him to go away. He's away. You need to leave it alone. Just leave it alone. And I did. And about a couple of weeks later, he came back, and I was like, oh man, this guy. And so I was talking to God one day, and I was like, you know, he made me very uncomfortable. He was a God-fearing man. He knew the Bible inside and out.
I didn't say that.
I did not know the Bible like he did. I was very uncomfortable about that. And he was very, you know, he's going to tell you about yourself. He has no problem telling you about yourself.
He's decisive.
Yes.
He's a man. That's a man.
But then he also had very strong integrity. He was never wishy-washy. He never failed on any of his commitments. If he said something, he was going to do it, and that's that. You know, you could take it
because you were used to getting lied to,
right?
And now you have somebody telling you the truth, even when it hurts. He's going to tell me the truth, right? Yeah. Wow.
But you really don't want to hear the truth, right? We say that.
I was waiting for that is because anytime, listeners, if you've never been in love, you're going to know when you're in love because it's going to scare the hell out of you.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's when you want to run in the you're like, what is that? Oh, no. Care about somebody this much? Like, where it envelops you.
Right. Or you realize that you're going to have to change who you are to step up to where they are.
And yes, and again, you're not really changing who you are. You're letting go of who you think you are.
Right. True.
Because it
Very
can't
true.
exist in a place with another person equally.
Right.
So you both have to let go so that you can, like, you literally are taking in one another.
Right.
So yeah, that shit is scary.
Oh yeah.
But it's fun.
And I knew that I was going to have to modify who I was, because I was very comfortable in my place. Right.
And just so our listeners understand and know where you're coming from, what she's saying is, I'm a woman of a certain age. I've been single for so long, and I had finally become okay with who I am. And I'm starting to learn, loving this other person, that who I am right now is going to have to make some compromises to be with this person. And that in itself is where you were like, do I want to do that? Because this is your safety box, right?
Right.
It's your final heart wall.
This is my safety box, and in my safety box, you know, I'm going to be totally transparent now. I mean, this whole interview has been raw, vulnerable, you know, just
I'll speak your truth.
All out there. Yeah. So we're just going to lay it all out on the table and just be like, this is what it is. Like it, hate it, love it, whatever. Don't care. You know, I had a drug problem. I had developed a drug problem, and this drug, you know, I was smoking weed every day, all day, morning, noon, and night. I mean, that's what I needed to keep me going. I was on Adderall. I was like on 120 milligrams of Adderall just to keep me up. I was on 60 milligrams of Ambient to put me down, to knock me out. But I would smoke the weed because I get so jittery on the other Adderall. Drugs that they had me on, that I need to like balance my body out. And so, you know, him being a man of God was like, no. You know, I like you, but you could do better.
And that's why I'm just saying, April. I mean, look, and I want to say this because you made a comment. You said, I knew I was going to have to change who I was. You do realize he fell in love with you as you were.
Right.
Like you just told us, he just fell in love with you as you were.
As I were.
Yeah.
But I knew that him being the man of God that he was, and him having such a high level of integrity.
Oh, I could cry.
And
that's so good.
Everything of who he was would require me to let that go. And that had been
he loved you back. You finally had someone who was loving you.
Right.
And it made you be okay with because everything that you were doing was because of the trauma.
Right. But my drugs have become my safety blanket. You know what I mean?
It is also a drug. So
right.
God is going to get a chemical dependency for it because of what you were doing. But that I don't feel like you were an addictive person. Like is there an addictive behavior there, or was this trauma and self-medicating?
I would say trauma and self-medication, but because now I'm not on anything. I've completely healed and everything. I'm on no prescription drugs, no marijuana. I'm on nothing. I don't have any cravings. I don't even drink alcohol now. Like I don't have.
There was somebody that loved you where you were, and that was so beautiful that you wanted to become a better human being. That.
Yeah. So I ended up taking the leap of faith. And I'll tell you how it happened. We were talking, and, he was just like, really, this is cool, but I'm serious. Like, we need to have titles. Like, you're my girlfriend, I'm your boyfriend. We're not seeing other people. Cause at the time I was still dating.
Yeah.
We're just dating.
Yeah.
And he was like, no, we're not dating. I want you to be my girlfriend and I will be your boyfriend. We're not seeing other people. We're just seeing each other. And I was like, okay. I was thinking about it and I was praying to God and I was like, you know, what am I going to do? How am I going to do this? What am I supposed to do here? You know, I was freaking out, having like a panic attack. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. And somebody had asked me for something and I had to get it off my drive, that jump drive thing that I had. And I plugged it in and the first thing that pops up is the picture of my ideal manifestation husband.
Oh my God.
Popped up. And I looked at the qualities, everything that I had asked for. I went through it all. And he hit every single one except for one. Well, two, but he dealt with that one. I had, the only thing he didn't hit was bilingual and colored eyes. And he went and did Babel. And so he's bilingual. He's working on being bilingual. And the color eyes, well, you know.
Get really. The contact. Make it happen.
So that was like my sign. And so I took the leap of faith and we've been happily married. We just started 3 years. We've been together for 5 or 6.
That is so amazing.
So ladies that are listening to this podcast, do not give up hope. Manifest your husband. It may take a while, but it will happen.
Absolutely.
And don't be scared to take the leap because it's going to require you to believe in yourself and God and a higher power to get it done.
But you can do it. It can happen. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you, and how old are your children now?
28, 23, and 18.
Any grandbabies?
I have 5.
Oh, now does he have children?
He does. He has 3.
Oh, you have your family. That's beautiful. Any grandchildren from his side? Is that the 5 included? No.
Yeah. So that I started over with him because his kids are much younger than mine.
Oh.
So his are 13, 11, and 9.
Yeah, this is like, that's so, that's beautiful. And so you guys get them every now and again.
7. What did I say? 9, 7.
7,
11, and 13.
And they're in his life, and you guys get to, Oh, that's so beautiful. Yeah. That's so great. So I know, okay, so you're not working in corporate America right now.
No, I've given up corporate America completely. I am only an energy healer. So I have my business, the Agape Wellness. You can find me on Google. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram.
And the is actually in the name. So it's PHEAGAPE Wellness.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you're on the web?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm on Google and I'm on Facebook and Instagram.
And all are the Agape Wellness.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And your services are what?
So all of the different healing modalities, I do all of them.
People that don't know even what the healing.
Okay. So energy healing is basically we're all energy. If you were to get like,
well, I mean more of like listing than like what those are.
Oh,
not necessarily what they are, but at least just because then people can go research or they can go to your website and they can find out more detail.
It's there. It tells you each healing modality and which session. So like I said, I do mostly the emotion code and the body code and the chakra balancing. Those are the 3 I do the most. I have gotten into entity releases.
Entity releases?
Yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Dark entities. Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't talk about this, but we are dealing with a spiritual war that we can't.
I do. Yeah.
Okay. And when we commit sins, they are given permission to act upon us with curses and pain and just a bunch of different things. So I release all of that. And
So
really,
in layman's terms, you would almost be like a prayer warrior,
yes.
speaking to the issue, but in an energy way.
Yes.
Like, cause I know what you are.
Yes.
I tell my sister all the time, and I'll tell everybody that's listening. I like right now, I tell you on a very basic level, because we've been talking about some heavy stuff, right?
Right.
Let's talk about on a basic level. I'm working out right now 3 times a week. Not even gonna go into the whole story, but I gotta get the situation back, okay? And I call my tummy a fupa because I heard it, a comedian I think calls it a fupa, and I talk to it. And I say, fupa be gone. And I tell people all the time, if you have an issue, talk to it. I remember I was getting a bunion on my foot. I was like, the devil is a lie. I talked to that bunion every day. And you know what it did? It stopped.
Right.
So you can literally talk to your issue, people, and make it stop, because it is people don't realize it's an actual thing in the spiritual world that we can't see. Yeah.
So there's like a positive and a negative energy. Positive is always like good, divine energy, where negative is the accuser, negative energy. And so, yes, I can identify what that energy is and demand that it leave. I can call the angels down and do angel energy healing and knock it out.
Yes,
like,
ma'am.
Be gone. You have no room here.
That's right.
I will speak to that mountain and make it move.
That's right.
Yeah.
So with COVID and everything that's going on, how are you working with your clients? Are you doing?
I do. So I do all of my clients through Zoom. I do a Zoom call and we connect, and I have clients all over the world, not just here in the US, but I have some in the UK. I'm also bilingual. I speak Spanish, so I have bilingual clients. And I even have some that are busy and they don't have like an hour to sit down with me and hash all this stuff out. And so they will allow me to work on them energetically while they go about their day. And I just send them an email with what I did. And, then we'll touch base like the next day and they're like, hey, this is what I feel, or this is how I'm feeling right now. And then I will guide them on, okay, we'll do this or do that or whatever they need at the time.
Now, I don't know how you found out about being an empath, but when I found out about it, we were talking and somebody was telling me what I was, and I had that happen a lot for me, because I thought everybody, like, when you have a gift like this, you think that everybody, I literally will hold my breath when I walk past people sometimes. Just because I don't want to, like I literally was in the room with a guy once that was a chimney cleaner. And literally for 24 hours, I couldn't breathe well. And so like sometimes like I don't even want to be in the space with him, but just talking through stuff the person said, oh, you're an empath. And I was like, what's that? Like I had never heard the word before, didn't even know. And I didn't start my journey until I was probably about 25, like I think very close to me getting pregnant with my daughter, my youngest daughter. How did you discover your gift?
So I've always known my gift. I was born with my gifts. But I will say that I was angry when I was younger. I used to get dreams, and I would get dreams and I would know what was going to happen within the next 48 hours.
My sister was like that.
And everybody's gifts and talents are different, right? There's a bunch of different clairvoyant type people. There's a bunch of different empaths. I am clairvoyant also. I'm very intuitive empath. I could feel people. I could feel their energy. I get the messages of their thoughts and what I can do to help them. But I did turn it off for a while. Like I was so mad at God for what he allowed me to go through that I was angry. And it took a while to get them back. I've had to do a lot of work to get them back. There was a period of time where I didn't see, hear, or feel anything. And as I started releasing the trauma and the pain and just finding out who I was as a person, they started coming back.
Yeah. It was probably, again, your body doing what it does best.
Protecting.
Yeah, because you couldn't heal if all of that was coming in, you know.
Right.
And I'm kind of different from you in that I didn't know, obviously, and I'm a twin also, and my twin also has gifts, so that we also played off because hers was different from mine, you know.
Right. Everyone's just like our fingerprints are different, so are and talent.
And so for me, I always said, God, take me slow. So I'm in the stages now of working on the visual. Still not there yet. I can see, like, I don't know, people can't see, but I can see like gray and dark. And even though I don't see light, I don't know how to describe light, but I know light when I see it, you know what I mean?
Right.
But I'm like, listen, Jesus, you know what I can handle. Don't speak to me. You stay over there and I'll stay over here. So I purposely controlled myself to go slow. So I totally understand what you mean by saying I just stopped it. And people don't know that they do have control over it. My sister was you guys are a lot of things that happened to you very in common with her not sleeping and make the the drugs and alcohol or whatever, and just trying to block out a lot of stuff that was coming in. And so you can control it, but what I'm hearing is the more you got in control of yourself, the more everything in your life came into balance.
Yes,
because you have to the change starts with you.
Absolutely. And when you're out of balance, everything around you is out of balance. And not only yourself, but what I wish somebody would have grabbed me and told me was, if you don't handle the chaos within you, it will keep going. The lineage will keep going. And what I learned in my healing, I was only focused on myself at the time, right? It was me, my pain, me. And when
in regards to the victimization of it.
Correct.
Yeah.
The pain, the trauma, just me. Everything was about me. Well, then when I started doing the healing and I started really looking at patterns, and people, if y'all aren't looking at your family patterns, you need to take a minute and look at your patterns. Learn your family lineage, learn your family legacy to this point. Because when I took a step back and I started looking at, is it just me? And I started looking at, what did I hand to my daughter or my son or my children? And then I started looking at, what was handed to me? And when I really took a step back and just removed me from the picture, I could see that this had been going on for years, decades.
Yeah. Generations.
148.
The fact that you know is a lot.
148 generations. It has gone back. And so now, I'm not only breaking my generational trauma and curses, but it gets handed back to, and it says in the Bible, the sins of the father will be handed to the mother in generation 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up to the 8th generation. It just keeps getting handed down until somebody in the family is like, no, this stops with me.
There it is. That's right. That was me. I know where I was standing when I said it. And I felt the ground shake. Like, it's done.
Yes.
With me. Stop. Yeah.
And shortly after that, when I realized that, and I started, speaking to that thing and praying about that thing and praying for not only my kids, my grandkids, but my parents and like my whole entire family lineage, whether they're gone or not gone, just praying for them all. My mom found out that I was a healer, and she was my very first customer. She was like, I want that too. And so, so my mom is one. My kids are one. I'm working on all of it to be done. This is it. It stops here.
Whew.
So.
Well, that is a good place to stop, ma'am. That took my breath away. That is, you have an amazing story.
Thank you.
Wow. Thank you for all of that. And, everyone that's listening, you can imagine what you haven't shared, all of the in between. And I wish you could see how beautiful this woman is. Even when you sent me your picture earlier, it just knocked me off my feet. Like, whoa. And I say that because a lot of times people that have gone through what you've gone through, they carry that.
Right.
And, excuse me, like, try not to get emotional. It's like, wow, that was a lot.
Thank you.
Sometimes you carry that on the outside and you can see what life has done to you. And so, y'all go to her page and look at this beautiful light, because it's also proof that we can heal from the inside out, and you will be renewed from head to toe.
Yeah. And I mean, that is my life mission. I want to talk to as many people as I possibly can to help them heal from the inside out and break these generational curses. Because if they start looking, 9 times out of 10, it didn't start with them, but it can end with them. If they just take a stand, I'm more than happy to tell you, teach you, whatever we got to do to make it stop right there.
Awesome. Well, it's wonderful to know that you are, in your own way, helping people. You are welcome back anytime. We actually, I'm sure that Miss Diane told you, we actually have a chapter there, which is where her original chapter started in Dallas, in the Dallas DFW area.
Oh, I'm more than happy to.
Yeah, it's just a little hop and jump over from you. And so anytime that we have an event there, or for anybody listening, anytime we do have an event, we post them all on our social media pages. And so if you will follow us at Society of Women Who Love Shoes, Diane Samoff, and myself, Shauna Jackson, or Miss Jackson, or Zen and Paper Girl, anything that we're having, we will post. And we would love to have you back at a live event. Or are back on the podcast as an actual, because we also want to be able to have people on the show that will help people that are there as a guest. So if we have someone that is struggling with something, just to be able to have an expertise like yourself to say, hey, this is something that might be able to help you, or this is the direction that we would love to go in. And so
I'm even happy to do an emotion code or body code session with someone that's struggling, and just show them what it's like and release those energetic balances that keep them trapped.
You guys heard that. You need some healing.
Yeah.
He's saying, like, hey, give me a call.
Yeah. If anyone is listening and they just want to know, like, what's the baseline? Where am I at? Where do I start? I give complimentary assessments every day. Just hit me up and we'll get you on the schedule and we'll figure out where to start.
That's how you use everything.
Yeah.
Right there. Yeah. All right. Well, I will let you get back to your night. As I told you, we don't have a form of just 1 hour, and I actually enjoyed this entire conversation. So I feel like I need to apologize because we went a whole hour over the time I said.
To get out. It's divine timing, and this message is for someone out there. I don't know who you are, but this is for you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, that will conclude part 2 of episode 2 on SWWLS, Speak Your Truth. Thank you to April for your candor and your transparency. You have truly blessed my spirit tonight. And for our listeners, I hope that you have gained and taken away something from this conversation. April is Child Abuse Awareness, Child Abuse Prevention Month. And we are asking all of our listeners to please wear blue or post something that is blue on your social media pages this month, and hashtag child abuse prevention, child abuse awareness, and hashtag Society of Women Who Love Shoes. hashtag My Storybook Shoes. My Storybook Shoes is an arm of Society of Women Who Love Shoes under the umbrella of the Power of Shoes, which are our charities. My Storybook Shoes focuses specifically on child abuse. And this month, we want to do our best to bring awareness to that. We will be working along with a wonderful volleyball club here in the Woodlands, Texas, called Allegiance Volleyball. Coach Sean and Jen McQuarrie have accepted the challenge to accept gently worn shoes and clothing there at their gym this month. And we will also be interviewing, or we'll be having one of their teammates on our podcast this month to help with bringing awareness. She is a child, teenager, young adult who has survived child abuse and will be sharing her story with us this month. And so thank you to Allegiance Volleyball and to Sean and Jen McQuarrie for allowing us to utilize your facility to accept our donations this month on behalf of Child Abuse Prevention Month. That being said, if you would like to find out more about the charity, you can find us on all things social media under Society of Women Who Love Shoes, or SWWLS. You can find us specifically on Twitter under SWWLS Speaker Truth. You can find us on the web at societyofwomenwholoveshoes.org, and we look forward to hearing from you and seeing you at our events. To stay up to date with that, simply follow us on social media, and we will always keep you updated on where we are and what we are doing. And that being said, I am love, I am light, and so are you. We'll see you next time.